Hey, I'm back at a Cafe 210 in the prayer room and spilling coffee all over me and probably over Matthew in a minute. Matthew, Matthew. I'm gonna let Matthew share for a bit, but let me tell you real quick where Matthew and I met. And actually, we met at every Saturday here at the Cafe 210. Every Saturday they have something called Cup of Jazz, and if I'm in the prayer room, you've heard this before, but Cup of Jazz is from 10 to noon. And some of us get here at 9:30. There's about 15 or 20 of us that really do get here at 9:30 because we have a warm up back. And there's a guy named Ron. Now, you know Ron. He plays it. I call him the Velvet.
Great singer.
I know. And I call him the Velvet Elvis because he does more than Elvis songs, but kind of more mellower. And anyway, so he does the warm up back for about a half hour. We get about 15, 20 people to come. But then around 10 o'clock, you see more and more people coming in. And then Richard starts to fade in. And then Richard plays the piano and the organ. We have saxophone players. There are people that sit right up there. Drummer, yeah.
Bunch of people.
Organs. Yes, accordion.
Accordions, tap dancing, everything.
Oh.
The whole thing gets going.
Hey, I normally do all that, but that's great. You're right. Everything gets going, and it goes till 12. And Matthew, Matthew, I met him because Matthew, um, really, he plays, he sings, he actually has a harmonica hooked up to your, and he can sing, and I know it's really good, and it brings something else to the, and so you'll sing a Cup of Jazz.
Yeah.
Matthew, last Saturday, you just got up at the piano, just improvised. I mean, it was really interesting, and you're playing this music, and I told you where that took me because I'm listening. Yes, St. John's River, because it's so full now.
Yeah.
And I go up there walking, and you took me back up there again. I'm sitting there watching the water flow through. That's what that did for me. Just it was a short thing.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. But you've written songs.
Yeah.
And now if people want to hear some of your songs, how can they hear them?
Just search for Matthew Robert Hunt, and it'll take you down a rabbit hole of stuff I've done. But if you know my name, that's probably the best place to start.
Matthew
Robert Hunt.
Hunt.
That's it.
All right. And then you can Google that.
You'll find my website, and you'll find links that take you to different places, because a lot of my different things are under different aliases.
Okay.
For different names and different projects.
Oh, aliases. Whoa.
So some of them are, they're just different, right? But yeah.
Okay.
The way that you heard my music on the piano was how I learned it. It was how I used to play at my grandma's house, like when I was really, really young.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Richard always says Cup of Jazz is like coming to grandma's house.
Yeah.
Everybody can play in the sandbox. Yeah. I mean, anyway, go ahead.
And that's how.
So your grandma's house.
Yeah, she had a piano. I would go there after school, and I would no one ever had to tell me to practice or play. I just kind of noodled.
Get out.
And so I never had a teacher. I had a teacher later on, but most of what I did was just finding the good notes on the piano and just liking those. And so the way you heard me at Cup of Jazz
was just
how it started.
Oh,
that's why I just keep doing it that way. And so all my projects and stuff that I wish people would listen to, it's not like, I don't want to say I don't care that they don't listen to them, but at the same time, it's like none of those projects really sound like me in a room. Because I'm always trying to make a project bigger than me in the room.
Wow.
And so it's like I make those, I'm like, yeah, that's it. But when I sit down and play, that's where the magic happens, I guess. It's like, I'm showing you a piece of my world on the piano.
Well, okay, so we can really Matthew Robert Hunt.
Excuse
me, Matthew Robert Hunt.
My dad's name is Robert.
All right. Oh, fantastic. Well, what I want to, this is kind of neat because I was thinking about relationships, and sometimes we used to say, when did you give your life over to Jesus? Which is still okay. But I really like the term relationship a lot better. That seems to be a lot of our.
It changes.
It does.
It changes over time.
And so, do you remember when you began a relationship, and what's that relationship mean with you? And now I'm going to just stop. So you're on, but I may butt in anyway.
Okay, so I was like 5, and this is the first memory I have, and it was like somebody had mentioned God to me, and I was a really smart, inquisitive kid, and so it was like somebody had said something like, God knows everything you do before you do it. And I was like, but what if I say I'm gonna do something and then
And
I
you
do
don't?
something different,
Oh, wow.
right? And I was immediately
Boy,
defined
you're at 5 years old.
five,
You're
six,
mulling this
seven,
around.
yeah,
Jeez,
5, 6, 7, oh, kindergarten, first grade, somewhere in there.
guy.
Because my parents took me to church when I was young, but it never really stuck. We didn't end up going a lot. We went to like a church that was very quiet and I guess classical reading from the Bible. And so when you're a kid and you hear that, you're in this big room and everything's quiet and serious, and you're like, I don't get it. Why is this? Why isn't everything happy and light? And so again, I was just, I was just really curious as to how some God could know everything before I did it. And so again, you immediately try to reject all that. And so that religion kind of like left my life for a long time.
I would stop for a minute.
Yeah.
This is really interesting because I know of someone. I'm going to be very careful how I share this, but
Mhm.
they have a son that's going through the rejection stage right
Mhm.
now. And I think PK kids might even do that sometime too.
PK,
Pastor kids,
pastor kids. Okay.
preacher kids,
Yes.
and
Yes.
well, I don't know if my son and daughter did that, but there's something about, yeah. So you're getting older and you're saying, I don't understand this.
Mhm.
So
And,
go ahead,
and
keep going.
I mean, I might have been 8 and 9 at that point, and just because it wasn't really present in my family life,
Yeah,
I
yes,
never,
yes.
I never really seeked it out.
You didn't see it in the
But,
home.
but I didn't feel like I was missing anything. Right?
Oh,
It was just like it was there when I was really young. I questioned it a little bit, but then it kind of disappeared. And so then you walk blindly, whether or not you understand that relationship that you currently have or not. You just kind of walk blindly through it until, I mean, it took me a long time to come back to it. I was probably 22.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, when I really came back to it, when I it was a weird moment. I met a girl.
Oh, that'll do it.
That'll do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, there you go. There
And
you
and
go.
I she was religious. She went to church every week, and I thought she was a runner, right? She ran everywhere. So I thought if I run, I could get close to her.
Oh,
And I
oh.
remember running behind my parents' house out in the country. It was like 100 degrees, and I looked up and I saw the moon. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. It was just this weird moment where I looked up and I saw the moon, and it was daytime. I was like, that doesn't make any sense, and it just clicked right there.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was one of those weird moments where it's just like everything about me says that the moon should be out at night. That's my belief. But for some reason, it's right up there at the daytime. And it was just those one of out of body experiences where you just start questioning everything. And again, this girl had this presence in my mind where I was starting to do good things, and and that night it was one of those like terrible nights where you're like pulling your hair out type of thing, where it's like I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why. I need somebody else to take over for me. And that's when I gave up. It was the weirdest moment. It was so out of body, so and again, when you I saw the same type of thing the other night when I just looked up at the moon and it was still daytime, like late
Wow,
afternoon.
wow,
And
wow.
it's like
You remember that moment.
I just remember that moment. And again, to anybody else, people see that all the time.
Now,
Why is that special? Right? I don't know.
now I'm sure people aren't. Don't you want me to ask this question? Whatever happened to the girl?
She's married to somebody else.
That's okay. But how interesting. There was the spark. Anyway,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Wow.
she
Okay.
but it was one of those things where you're kind of woken up. I forget which one you said, but when you realize
Yeah. Yeah.
something else is at play.
Yeah.
And I was never very good at listening to
So
God.
what we talk about is
Yeah,
prevenient grace is a
yeah,
term where uh, God God's aware of us and God's working with us even
mhm,
before we're aware of it. His grace is working. We may
yes,
not know.
yes,
And then we have this revelation,
it's the
which
moment.
you was maybe the girl was part of it,
Of course.
and the moon and where he's going, whoa. And so that we call that when we're aware of that.
Mhm,
Sometimes we might call that justifying grace.
mhm,
So anyway,
yeah.
keep telling your story.
So
Gee.
so this was at that time I was still a tutor at a place called the Tutoring Club, and I was still dead set on becoming a teacher. like, because my parents said, take the safe route, do, you know, get a stable job, get a wife, marry, settle down, have kids. That was the life, that was the plan. But kind of after that moment, everything, like, you're supposed to listen to God, and He's supposed to kind of give you messages through people and like actions and things that happen. And so usually, if your life starts going bad, you stop doing that thing, right? You're like, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever this
yeah,
is, my life is not having, doesn't feel right. Stop doing that.
yeah.
I didn't understand to listen to that.
Oh, how interesting.
So every step I took closer towards teacher made my life a little more miserable.
Oh my goodness.
And it's not because of the kids, it was just because of the workload, because of the schedule, because of all that was happening in a school district setting. I didn't work with me. And so I should have recognized that and said, maybe that's not for me, and then gone and did something else. But because I was so dead set on my own ways of, I'm going to create a safe life for myself, and I know,
Create a safe life for yourself.
yeah, and I like knew, like I knew what
Write
safety
that down.
was.
Yes, yeah.
But it ended up not being the thing because that's not what I was supposed to be doing. If I had faith in God and said, well, for some reason, even though my own best intentions are creating havoc for my life, right? That's not what I should be doing. If I have faith and just pick a different path, make the decision, don't think about it, then that other path that I'm supposed to be taking will open up, the opportunities will appear, and the life will become better. Which eventually is what I did because I made it, I mean, all the way to third grade teacher, right? I went through all the schooling, all the credentialing, everything, and I became a third grade teacher.
You got your credential and everything.
I did everything because everyone told me you can play guitar once you get your credential, like once you become a teacher. And then when I became a teacher, that was the first year my guitar playing dwindled, and it didn't because the job instantly took over all my free time.
How old are you when you started to become a teacher? I'm just kidding.
When I started to become a teacher,
Oh,
or when I
when you
actually got
started
the job.
teaching.
When I
Yeah.
actually got the job, I was 20, 23.
Okay, and just kind of getting time frame.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, okay.
23 when I got that job.
Okay. And so now you're teaching.
And so now I'm teaching,
And something
and
yeah.
it's just
And
it's just all
your
off.
music, the song is
Yeah.
dwindling away.
Yeah, and it was one of those moments where it was everything I had tried to make, right? Like I was trying to make the safe life, so I had finally made the safe life,
Oh my
and it
goodness.
wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
I got to remember that thought. We're all done with this.
Yeah.
Remind me, creating a safe life. Okay, hold on to that thought because I want to write that now. Go
Yeah.
ahead, keep going.
Yeah, and so it was just, yeah, I knew that I saw what it more ended up being like me looking at myself
Wow.
in these teaching situations where everybody else seemed to be fine with what was going on,
Wow.
and I wasn't.
Oh wow.
And so instead of saying you guys are all wrong for doing this, it was like, oh,
Wow.
maybe I'm wrong for being here.
Oh, how interesting. You weren't putting them down. You're
No.
no.
And I mean, at first I was. At
Oh,
first, like
I'm
the first two or 3 months, I
Okay.
was like, "What are you guys doing? This isn't teaching. What are you guys doing?" And all this other kind of stuff, like I knew. And then I had to take a step back and go, if everyone is at the if I'm having a problem with everyone, maybe it's me that's having the problem with everything. And then like maybe it's me. And then so then you sit back and you think about it and you go, well, what else could I be doing? What else could I really be doing right now? And I looked back over I think I spent 7 years in college, right, to become a teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
So then at that point, it's like, well, what else did I do? Well, all I did in college was play guitar. I didn't even go out. I didn't go out. I didn't go out with friends. I didn't go out party. I bowled. I went bowling a lot. It was cheap. And then I spent hours and hours and hours playing guitar and writing songs. And so I did.
Of course, studying too.
Studying.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you had to do that.
And
yeah.
but when you have the mindset I did, I got home, I would study for an hour or two every day, and that didn't take up much time. School only took up about 4 hours at the most per day, and so that's like 6 hours. But anything else other than that, it was my own free time. And so I look back at it, and it's like, what was I doing naturally? So naturally,
Wow.
I was just picking up the guitar. No one ever had to tell me. Piano too, singing too, and so those things were just naturally happening. And
Wow.
so
Oh my goodness.
it was
Oh my
like
goodness.
the only other answer to my problem of what do I do with my life. It's like, well, the only other thing I did was play guitar. So let's just do that and see where that takes me from now on. And so I did.
How old are you now?
26. I'll be
20.
27 on the 16th of April.
Um, so um, how are you, the nuts and bolts of life? How do you, how, you gotta, are you sleeping out in the streets
No,
playing?
no, no.
I
No,
mean, what
yes,
do you,
it's a fair question.
oh, good, good. I'm curious. That's good
So,
for, because we want to know what is he doing now?
yeah.
Yeah. So just how do you support yourself now, I guess?
Well, my first thought after exiting teaching was I need to the way you learn a new skill is you have to become an active learner. And this is thoughts from my own credential program. So I didn't abandon all my information that I learned. I started implementing it.
Okay, another thought.
Yes.
You're going to remind me,
Yeah.
creating a safe place for yourself and be an active learner.
Yeah.
I should be taking notes as you're talking, but
Yeah.
go ahead. Active,
Yeah.
yeah, become an active learner.
So instead of teaching, I thought, well, how do I spend the most time possible working on music? And I didn't have all the skills at the beginning that I thought I did. I didn't have, all the know-how that I wanted. So I went part-time at a tutoring club, the same tutoring club I met the girl at. I went back to the same place, so I had to take a literal step back in my life. And then I went part-time there, and then part-time at Guitar Center teaching music lessons.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then I went part-time
Oh,
in two places. And so it
now
was,
the tutoring club you would
yeah,
teach there,
yeah.
and then do you still go to the tutoring club?
No,
Okay,
not anymore.
okay, but
Um,
do you give guitar lessons? Do you
yes,
still?
but
Because you
not
got
at
to have
guitar.
some money coming
Yeah,
in. Some
yeah,
is
and
that
so
where the money comes in somewhere?
yes, and a little bit. It comes
Okay,
in from a variety of sources.
okay,
So after I had split half and half into tutoring club and guitar center, then I had to make a choice eventually where it was like I can't keep commuting to the
yeah.
tutoring club. So I ended up picking instead of moving to Fresno, and that was an idea.
Because you live in Hanford.
I'm Tulare.
Oh, Tulare. Oh, I thought Hanford. I'm sorry. Okay, okay, never mind.
So then I decided to go full time at Guitar Center for a time and just teach lessons because outside of lessons I could play my music as much as I wanted, and then when I was in a lesson I was teaching somebody else how to play music.
And
Active learner.
you're an active. I was just gonna say you're an active
Mhm.
learner.
And so then Guitar Center didn't pay that well, and I didn't get a lot of students there. They were kind of hit or miss on students. I applied for a music teacher job at a place called Sunrise Church in Tulare. But the person who was
Wait a
running
minute. That's not Russ Snyder, is it?
it was Robert Melendez who
Okay,
ended up doing
okay.
it.
I'm thinking of somebody else.
So
All right, never mind.
this guy Robert Melendez, he I interviewed with him, and he said, I don't really get many students here at Sunrise. He says, but I teach private lessons, and he says I'm a traveling music teacher. That's what I do. And so I go, oh wow, okay, right. So this is you can go to this is God working through me, where he said, well, just go to this church and apply for this job, and you'll get the real job out of it. And so the job out of it was um, you're going to do your own private lessons. And so now I'm a traveling private music teacher that works after school programs and produces for other people and makes my own music. You see, it doesn't, it, and for whatever
And God's
reason,
opening up that door for. I mean, God's provide. My goodness,
yeah,
but you
because and it's a lesson in faith where it's like
a lesson in
I
faith.
had no idea that any of this would appear when I quit my job. When I quit my job, I didn't even have a second job lined up. I had no idea. I was just like, this isn't right at all. None of this for me. None of it's right. And so it's taking the leap and like letting go of like what you thought you needed, and then saying, okay, something else will appear at some point, and then you just keep going through the doors, you keep going through the hurdles, you just keep, because again, something new will pop up all the time. And so it's just, you have to do that thing, whatever it is. And so I'm a firm believer that if you want something, or if you think something is out there for you, getting it is a matter of just saying, okay, I don't know how I want that, or I don't know how I'm going to get that. But if I set myself in that direction and then do whatever thing comes on the path, then I'm going in that direction.
I think it's really interesting because in my life, uh, there are many a times, even being a pastor or whatever, my whole walk, there are times God's done this in my life, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of tapping.
Mhm.
but I don't listen because I want the safe life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were taught, be
Yeah.
responsible. I want the safe life.
Uh-huh.
And he's doing this, and
Come
he's
on.
doing this.
Come
And
on.
finally, he just,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
If you don't go with grace, if you don't say, okay, this isn't it, then eventually you're turned.
because somebody once called God the hound of heaven, meaning
Mhm.
once you have a relationship with him,
Mhm.
he's going to be after you, after you, after you, and he'll eventually bite your butt and knock you down. And there are times in my life I go, God, and even now, even when I retired in 2015, um, I it's like, God, I'm tired of getting knocked down, and God's saying to me, fine, then listen to this,
Yeah.
because if
Yeah.
you don't listen to this, I know He's going to get my attention when
Some
He
point
won't
or
let us
another.
go, and I'm tired of it. Fine, listen to this.
Mhm.
And even listening to you right now, I think you and I are on the same stage of life, to be honest,
Mhm.
because I was thinking the other, you need to make money.
Yeah.
No, I I think we're on the same boat because actually now because there are times I'm going, well, Lord, this bill's coming up or this bill,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like God says. And when I retired, I thought, well, I better get a part-time job.
Mhm.
I could get a part-time job being a part-time pastor or being interims. I could do all of that.
Mhm.
But then that owns me again,
Mhm.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But for the first time in my life,
Mhm.
I have. I did a YouTube. I'm yakking now because we're almost finished with this.
Yeah.
But do you remember comic books? Are you into comic books at all? Oh, okay,
Not
if
quite.
you know, that's all right.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Peter Parker,
Of course.
has this great saying:
Mhm.
"With great powers come great." You know the rest of it.
Responsibility.
You're right, right.
Yeah, for the movie.
And I actually did a YouTube on this.
Yeah.
And I have a Spider-Man, and I said, "With great powers come great responsibility." And then I said, I don't know, maybe Spider-Man got that wrong, and I take off the outfit because I found something in my life, and that once I didn't have great responsibilities, uh, because I had to do this, God is giving me great opportunities,
That's great.
and it's
That's great.
fantastic. And the more, and yes, we need to be responsible for God. I'm playing with words here a bit, but there's something about my life right now, the opportunity, because God's got opportunities for all of us, and
Yeah.
so I think we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
I don't think, because my concern is, well,
Money.
we want, yeah, then you
Money.
need to,
No. Money's the scary one because
it's there. You need to realize it,
Yeah.
and I think God's giving you wisdom.
Yeah.
To and I see that wisdom in you because I thought, well, let's play, and I understand that, but if you want to hear Matthew sing, well, go to
Robert. Matthew Robert Hunt.
thank you, Matthew, and I'll write this in, Matthew Robert Hunt, or come to Cup of Jazz, because you may hear him play sometime the piano, guitar, sing. By the way, my wife, Gail, really, she would like you to sing sometime without the harmonica.
Oh, okay.
That's
I will do that. I will do
because she
It
goes,
gets in the way.
well, it does in a way, And now, okay, before we go, not that you have to. Is there any woman in any relationship that you're exploring now, or is just something coming up? Not that you have to.
Well, there are, but my life, I meet so many new people right
Yeah.
now, and it's
That's fine.
so people come and go, and it's never,
And that's fine, because I don't necessarily feel that there are some people God has called to live a single life.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And so it's not because I was at a conference once where I was the main speaker. It was a young adult conference. I'll never forget this. And one of the talks, I've been to this conference before, they always have somebody get up and talk about a marriage talk, blah, 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 blah. And then you have somebody talk about a singles talk, right? And the singles talk has always been kind of pathetic because, I know I'm going to get married someday, but what? Well, this one guy, and so my wife was the song leader at it. I was the speaker at it, and we're sitting in the front row, and she, very attractive gal, and she gets up and says, and I look, and she's doing the singles talk, right?
Yeah.
And I whisper to Gail, I'm going, God, why isn't she married?
Yeah.
And because I knew her before talking, And she goes, well, a lot of you people probably wonder why I'm not married. I go, oh my God, she heard me. And she goes, I may someday. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't need.
Yeah.
I don't need a man to complete me.
Yeah.
Jesus completes me.
Mm.
If that's going to come about, that's fine. But
Yeah.
I don't. And you know, I think I see that in your life too.
Yeah.
Jesus, what a walk.
Mm.
Okay, I want to wrap this up, but
Yeah.
let me wrap it up just real quick.
Mm.
Question, and you've already shared it so beautifully.
Mm.
But sum up,
Yeah.
who is Jesus to you?
Jesus to me is like a guiding light. It's just it's you don't have to compartmentalize. You don't have to put it in a piece of your life. You just say, okay, this is my life, and then I'm being led in that direction. I go that direction.
Matthew, this is awesome. And it's really funny because I'm wondering how long this took. My gosh, that's okay because I was yakking too much. This almost took 25 minutes and 54 seconds, and that's okay, guys. I hope that you listen to this. It's powerful, and so I want to thank you guys for watching, and Matthew, thank you for being on. And I'll just say it, Chaplain Chat. Okay, thank you. I know, clicker off.